And listen, Ice is back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly. Oh, hey, how's it going? I hope everybody's having it. Um, just for anybody who is brand new, I have a cat. For anybody who's been here for a while, I have a cat, and he's acting like an asshole today. So if you hear cat stuff happening in the background, you'll know it's because of the cat. By the way, shout out to Crypto Guy 1976. Um, as of today, I have another vanity uh, crypto address. I have believes.eth, and now I have believes.ada. It's believescrypto.ada. So donations accepted. We'll put that in the links at some point pretty soon. But I wanted to talk about a lot of this cat. This cat. Hey, Guts. What are you doing, buddy? Yeah, yeah. All right. So let's kick it off. Pakistan is in the house right now. Aaron Thompson's in the house. Matty B's in the house. Mike Volmer, Ray Gutowski, Sheldon Nelson, 42 Clamato. Matter of fact, by the way, when we talk about, I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but there used to be a thing called clamato juice, whatever you want to call it. And I used to read a vampire book when I was a kid, and it was about people who put their blood in clamato juice containers. So pretty funny that you have that name today, even if that wasn't, could be EMO. I don't know. Richard Nelson's in the house. Robert T. Mark Kelly, Miles Maddox in the house. Jonathan Nelson, Burned by Saitama, Zicko. Cats are assholes. That's what I'm trying to tell every one of you guys. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. Hustle Dimes is in the house. Taylor Buck's in the house. Sam Hollis is here. Jason Pollin's in the house. CODM and Crypto. Victor Lopez in the house. And this cat is just going everywhere. He's going out of his mind. He's going to be in my mind pretty soon. By the way, he's getting evicted in a couple days. So just in case you guys were wondering, getting out. He's getting out. Kevin Johnson, yo, Crypto Mate, Mojo in the house. What is going on? All right, guys. Funny story. So last night, I texted Ben Armstrong and I said, "Hey, man, to keep pressure on Robert R in the house." I texted Ben and I said, "Hey, man, we should keep pressure on the competitor, whoever they may be, with their lady frames and their wild hairs and all of that kind of stuff. We should do something to kind of keep pressure on it. So I will go live at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I get ready to do that. In the meantime, he gets AJ to go live. So I leave work early so that I can run home, get ready for a live stream. I sit down and I pull up YouTube, and AJ's getting ready to go live. So I went back to work. And so if anybody's wondering what was going on there, there was no like the whole idea here is to keep the pressure on Discover Crypto and make sure that there is another option out there at that same time that is focused on what is going on in this ecosystem. So it was crazy. I was the one who filed Ben's form in the slammer. He was so chilled. All right, Zoe, thank you for dropping in. Sam Hollis here. And what are you doing, little man? Hold on. World Guts. Guts World. And he's disappearing. That's awesome. Anyway, go play, buddy. Anyway, that's that crazy cat for you. And that makes me a crazy cat dude, doesn't it? Right? Anyway, he's evicted anyway. He's getting out of here. Ronick Rye says, "Glad you're helping Ben." Look, it's synergistic. He believes in the same thing I believe in, that people should be educated, that we should focus on mass adoption and all the pieces that go along with that. And, I think that we're on the same page when it comes down. Latino male. That's awesome. Hustle Dimes, what happened to Volt? Any idea? Yeah, the big holders of Volt decided that they were going to borrow against their Volt using CoinRabbit. And of course, people were wanting to get a quick pump originally on the little last meme craze that included Pepe and Bob and some of those other tokens. And what ended up happening was they just started getting wrecked because the price of Volt came down. Their liquidation kept, they just, in order to make their payments and not get entirely liquidated, they were having to sell Volt. So now some of the big holders that were super volted are not nearly as volted anymore. And you really can't do anything about that price action because we're in the middle of a bear market. We're in the worst part of the bear market. We're in the suppressed sort of, this should be the despair period. So in the despair period, here we are. People don't have enough money, a little bit of extra cash on hand in order to do anything about it. So you get kind of stuck. And what happens is now you can't do anything. So there was nobody left to buy up the dips, if you will. So there we go. You know what I mean? Do you believe TJ when he inferred that Ben was gay? No. As a matter of fact, I think that what we're, I think maybe we might be reading some inferences into it because all of the people that are doing that are looking, they want something. And to be fair, I've been for a long time in locker rooms and stuff like that. Not that I like live in locker rooms, you creeps, but been in a locker room, seeing people, athletes, men in general, walking around, smacking each other's asses, being like, "What's up, bro?" and stuff like that. And I've been in fraternities where people would just, walk by each other and slap each other on the dick. It just happens. It's just what guys do. Guys are horrible people, right? So when you're in that fraternity of kinship and friendship, then you do things like that, right? So there are circumstances in which you would do that. Now, at some point, there are times when a man becomes a bitch ass trick, right? And when that man becomes that bitch ass trick, then he says things like, "For a couple ETH, I will tell everybody that it was bad." You know what I mean? So I'm not having any of that. I think it's silly that they would do that. I mean, look, I'm looking at the tape. I'm rolling the videos. If Ben were gay and TJ were available, I would assume TJ's pregnant by this point. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm saying, because there's no chance that he's a top. Do you know what I'm saying? But remember, guys, I want to point this out. I want to point it out specifically so that you remember. What is going on, everybody? I wanted to give you a quick update. I spoke to the CEO, and he made a statement about the alleged relationship with an assistant. Now, I do want to point out here that we have to ask the question.
Yeah, son. So it's totally different. You see, he's married, but see, I wasn't married. And now I know she's not married, but my girl, she was married. So this is a totally different situation. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm innocent.
And there you have it, guys. That's the nonsense answer that you were looking for. This was not financial advice, but I was always right. I mean, you can't make that shit up, right? You can't make that shit up, right? It's totally different because that seemed like the most disrespectful thing to women. I would think that it doesn't count. It doesn't count when it's when the man's not married. You know what I mean? Get out of here. So anyway, let's talk about the future and what the world looks like going forward in what I think is going to be called from this point forward. By the way, I want to point out that there is a synergy here between Bencoin and the Ben Armstrong Crypto Show. And I think that synergy will eventually reveal itself to be called Ben Nation. And I would say that Ben Nation will encompass a bunch of different variables and pieces of this whole thing. Um, and ladies, I apologize. I will stop using lady frames. I will stop using lady frames. I don't want you to be offended. Um, we will call them not dude frames from now on. So that's what we'll go with. But anyway, so I think that Ben Nation as itself, and guys, look, this has been a very simple binary choice for me. Do I side with in this argument the guy who got everybody to the dance, or do I side with the company who, in my opinion, and I'm not saying that they are, I'm saying that in my opinion, a bunch of low down, dirty, no good thieves that are stealing from somebody who, and by the way, I might add, there's going to be some validity to some of the accusations that were leveled at Ben. There's probably going to be $13,000 that the owner and CEO of the company couldn't leverage to borrow money against a board ape. There might be there might be a problem with a $10,000 mutant ape, and they played this out like it was a gigantic thing. But when you go read the complaint, board ape was currently valued at 13,000. Mutant ape was currently valued at somewhere near 10,000, I think, and that's a that's not that seems, first of all, if you have a process in place that is agreed upon and it was bypassed, then there's a fair argument for people to make. But that's just a piece of a larger standing equation here, and that is when, and this is the important part, everybody who has money knew what was going on, and they knew exactly who the star of the show was. Now, to break this down, if in fact, and this again, I'm giving you a lot of opinion and a lot of speculation here, but some of it is based on fact. If Ben, in fact, is completely out of hit networks and that there is no opportunity for Ben to come back and take back the property, then he would be owed. And I'm going to estimate here, okay? And I want to point this out because TJ, I don't know if you know him, that's the not dude frame guy, allegedly at Discovery Channel. He says that he would be paying Ben out over 5 years, which is a fair number. Like that, by the way, if you don't have the resources, if you're poor and you make bad decisions like firing your talent, like fire Robert Downey Jr. from Iron Man and be like, yeah, dude, I got plenty of, I'm balling out with the cash, right? So if that is the case, then you would owe from the point of termination. And if it was the point of termination, Zoe, if he were, then I'm sure he'd be a top. So, but I would venture to say that based on his recent history of relationships, he would be quite the opposite. But anybody can speculate anytime they want on that. It's just not my lane. I don't really care because it really doesn't matter to me. But anyway, so if you consider this, stake was worth $1 million per month to that company at the time of not dude frame releasing Robert Downey Jr., then that was over $1 million a month. And it would be my assumption here that the EBITDA was going to be in the 50 to 55% range. Otherwise, who the hell is running that company? An idiot? That's what you would have to say. But here's the other piece. Check maybe 250,000, maybe 250,000 in overall. So you're talking about 50 to 55% EBITDA, which means that the profit would be in the neighborhood of 500,000 per month. But we're not even including, we're just including stake. We're not including BitGet. We're not including Bybit. We're not including all of the sponsors that are on that channel paying a lot of money to be part of that network. So if we just assume at the bottom that it's about 500,000, then you're talking about 500,000 per month over 12 months. That's really it's 13, but let's just go with 12 for the purpose of the exercise. That's $6 million. So standard buyout is going to be for between 3 and 4 years. So if it's 3 years, that's $18 million. If it's 4 years, that's $24 million. And if Ben is the 66% or 67% majority holder of the company, then 67% of that profit over the course of that period of time would be for him. So it would occur to me that at 24 million, 2/3 of 24 million is 16 million. So Ben would be due 16 million roughly over the course of 5 years. So that's a little over $3 million a year. And I'm sure that there would need to be a down payment of at least 50% for any purchase agreement. Most probably I would be asking for if I don't know what the buyout terms are in their agreement, but it just assuming that it's just assuming that. So we'll use that as the number right there and say that Ben would be owed about 16 million. Now, if he would agree to it, just to kind of simplify the process, because he knows he's dealing with a bunch of broke ass people who don't have any money or any access to resources, and that they're going to get financially devastated and wrecked over the course of the next couple of years because AJ is out drawing them. Even after people see that Ben's not there, more people watched AJ than they watched than watched DZ and the girls. So I don't think so. I don't think that they've got. I think they're in trouble. I think that they're in trouble, and I think even if they do, even if they go forward and there is a path forward, and let's face it, it would be my estimation that that Frankie Candles probably supports the entire network at this point. He doesn't get a ton of views, but he also does. But here's the thing: I do some light technical analysis, right? And I try to do a little bit more than I used to, but I still do it, and I still have enough traders under me that I make it on the. By the way, if you're looking for payouts on cryptocurrency, let me just point out that if you are a worldwide crypto, if you ever get a deal, it's not with MEXC. MEXC, their maker fees are only like 0.1 or 0.01%, whereas with Gate.io, it's 0.06, and Gate.io is much bigger than MEXC. Fairdesk, same thing, it's 0.06. So imagine this. There have been months where I've made $4,000 or $5,000 off of MEXC. I would have made $20,000 or $30,000 if I had been doing it with Gate.io all this time. So just take that for what you will, right? And Bybit and BitGet, Femex, places like that where you can do a lot of trading, they have a much better maker-taker fee. Now, Frankie Candles has a much bigger audience that watches him than I do. So I would think that he is getting a massive amount of money off of that trading. So I think that he probably finances the company at this point. If he leaves, then he takes all of that with him. Now, he wouldn't take all of the money, but the first thing that he would do if he moved was establish a new trading account and tell people to change their trading, because you can trade your trading account over and go with a different sponsor person. So that does happen. So what I would think is if Frankie's on the team over there, then they've got a little money where they can maybe make some payroll and stuff like that for a little while. They've also got their own deals, but guess what? Those people, I want to say, while this is kind of holding and waiting at this point, I do think that it is very possible that a bunch of those people are going to start looking for they're going to start looking for another alternative because they don't want to support that channel. And if they don't want to support that channel, then they can sign up at my links or Ben's links or AJ's links. And then later on down the road, if something were to come up with any other employees that were there that came under, and by the way, I'm not under Ben's network. AJ's not under Ben's network. There's nothing official yet. Right now, we're all just kind of flying solo and just kind of, sticking together like musketeers at this point. But, if something develops out of all of this, then, it would be reasonable to assume that some of those people who are doing trading would come over from there, and that would affect it even greater. So I think it's very difficult for these guys to come up with the type of money that it would take in order to make that buyout or make that payout. I think the most likely scenario is that they bankrupt the company at some point. I think that's the more likely scenario. Now, at the end of this, at the end of the so Robert R, let me say this. Um, you do what you feel is right. I don't want to lead you in any direction. Here's what I say. I'm on Team Ben. I think that Ben had his company, his page, everything stolen from him. That is my opinion. And as far as Frankie, I'll tell you this: there's only two people that reached out to. Um, I haven't seen on that show. There were two people that Ben said reached out to him. I'll tell you, and again, Ben's probably gonna get mad at me for revealing anything, especially because these people get attacked. And I'm not gonna name any names, but I'm gonna say one of them was AJ. That's what I'll say, right? So the other one, you can decide who that is for yourself. If you know, I mean, you know, at some point, you might see somebody else show up. I don't know. You know, again, I'm not friends with Frankie. I don't. I'm never friends with people with tiny calves like Frankie. You know, big calves. Like, you know what, gross. You know, work out, lift, and then get at me, bro. Anyway, um, I think I think Frankie's got to make his own decision on what he wants to do. You know, Ben has been pretty open about him wanting to see that guy come aboard, but that's a decision that Frankie has to make for himself. If he feels comfortable where he is, then I wouldn't change. Again, that income is still there, so these guys got to make a move. But the point to it all is they would owe between 18 million, and again, if it's over 3 years, then you're talking about 12 million over 5 years, which is still 2 million, over 2 million. So you're either talking about $2 or $3 million a year for the next 5 years payable to Ben, which would allow him to continue to build his own company. If he continues to build his own company, guess what? All those deals, all those sponsorships, look, those sponsorships, those people, they know where their bread is buttered. We're not fooling anybody here. They know exactly who they know exactly who moves the needle. Okay. And by the way, I just checked my phone to make sure that Ben did not send me a message and say, "Hey, shut up, man." So, yeah. But I don't know. Again, we know it's AJ. The other one, he's favorable to Frankie, but I mean, again, Frankie's got to make his own decision. However, that does mean, in my opinion, 12 to 18 million. 12 to 18 million is a lot. So they would have to come up with the funding and the means by which to make that kind of payment every year or whatever the case may be. And then in the meantime, once there's clarity in the closing of this deal, if there is a deal to be had, then what I would then say is that Ben would be free to negotiate with stake.com and get his own deal with stake.com that doesn't involve the hit networks. So, um, you know, let's check my phone again. Uh oh, what do I do now? God damn it. Nah, he's still not. Nope, he doesn't watch me. He's got better things to do. But the point is, they got a big payment that they're going to have to make, and they're going to have to come up with some way. So it would be very interesting to see how this plays out. And look, if I'm him, I would not just take payments. I would not say, you know, if it's $2 million or $3 million a year, you know, whatever the number is, I would absolutely. There's no way I would say, okay, give me 100,000 a month or something like that. No, if they cannot afford the buyout, then there's going to be some mediation that's going to be needed, and he could enforce. He's going to have certain rights. He's going to have certain rights, right? But then he'll be able to start the Ben Armstrong Crypto Show. I'm saying that as the name, but I don't know what he will end up naming it. But for now, the Ben Armstrong Crypto Show, and then he can get a sponsorship with that. And look, 5,800 people were watching yesterday. A couple thousand people were watching today. I want to say 4,700 were watching the day before that, and all you're seeing is in the hundreds huge decline in views over at the opposition. So I think that everybody knows where the bread is buttered, and that is Ben Armstrong. Now, let's get into Ben. So we obviously know what happened the other day. I'm going to tell you this, that he's been under terrible distress in the last little while. And I do call it distress because it's not duress. He's been in distress for this period of time, which is why he's taking a few days to just kind of chill out and relax, because there were points where he thought his life was, and you know what, there are people out there who are on the internet who are having a field day with it, people like a Tozy, because Ben is a boisterous sort of character, right? There are people like a Tozy, there's people like Twinkle Tinker Bell Frame, the penguin guy, whack, 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 who they did not like the way Ben came at a Tozy. I want to say it was about a year ago, whatever the case may be. And they didn't like how it went. Of course, the outcome was in their favor. Ben dropped the suit. But here's the thing. Yes, Ben did try to sue a Tozy for defamation. And look, sometimes when you have the stroke, you kind of throw yourself out there and you try to silence people because they can't do it. And Ben does have a preference to kind of call people low IQ and say things to people to try to get a reaction out of them. So, there's that didn't work out very well, but it did kind of give these guys a lane by which they are paying attention to whatever happens with Ben. So, the other night was not a good look, but listen, he was furious. He was absolutely furious because, on the Altcoin Daily Show, they were literally telling you that, oh no, we had to sell the Lamborghini in order to make our payroll. Or if they didn't say it there, then they told somebody else who was on Crypto Blood Show the other day. I think it was Nice TV or something like that, or Rice TV, and he mentioned that on his stream with Crypto Blood. Crypto Blood, by the way, their situation has been worked out. Not to, I don't think it's to satisfaction, but they have had communication. But again, I digress. Anyway, so he says that they use the Lambo to pay for payroll, right? Which means that they are in stress. They are in distress. And Jessica, that is not true. TMZ actually does have a partnership with CryptoDeb and Ashley Decan to cover cryptocurrency and to do like vignettes. So it might be that you will see this kind of thing kind of throw itself out there at some point. And by the way, that is going to be fantastic for cryptocurrency at large. So just because this is happening and just because people are cringing at some of this stuff does not mean that if it crosses mainstream, then that it's going to be crazy. And I'll speak to that. By the way, Paka says having Cassie in the car was the biggest F up, and that is the correct. That is correct. That's probably not the best of looks. And by the way, I will also tell you this. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that Ben intended to get arrested. Like from what I saw yesterday, I didn't talk to him about this in any way other than what he was saying on his live stream yesterday. Right. So it's, and by the way, the reason that they were in the car together was because they were coming back from South Carolina and they didn't stop anywhere. And Austin drove separately, which is why Austin was not in the car. So, what basically happened was while they were coming back, he was told that Carlos, Larry, the disabled guy, for those of you that remember, that he had the Lamborghini and that it was at his house. And it could be that it was sold and somebody was picking it up. It could be any number of reasons, but that right there, after Larry, the disabled guy, made threats. You guys, you listened to the tapes. You heard them. Like, I'm not making any of this up, right? Stop me when I'm telling lies, as CM Punk would say. Stop me when I'm telling lies. You heard the tapes. You heard them. So you know what he was saying. You heard everything that was going on. Yes, Austin is leaving the team after the V2 has launched. So he'll be with us until the V2 is launched, and then we're going to bring in somebody else. That was a bridge too far because that means that they were lying. And the whole thing is He just absolutely cannot tolerate the fact that he was put into a moment of weakness. That's basically what happened here. And Jessica, another important part here, not your keys, not your Lambo. Well, he did have the keys to it. That was the point. And under threats of duress, he was forced in his mind to sign this over. In fact, if you listened to the tapes without him talking, uh, he didn't know he did anything illegal. He didn't know there were any illegal things. They were just creating veiled threats, right? And hey, man, put down the fanny pack. Not what I would wear, but hey, you know what? It's not for me. I'm not the guru of finance. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's a video of him out there in a Gucci tracksuit to begin with. So I mean, let's not, we're gonna stop now. we stop at fanny packs. But here's the thing: the whole thing, the whole thing comes down to he was furious at this moment. He was furious that this thing was playing out the way that it was because it was unfair. It was unfair to him. Not only, again, let's go back here and let's take just a big step back and say he did not he did not feel and still doesn't that there was any justification or cause for him to have his company stolen from him. You heard it in the tapes that the reason that TJ did this was because he was going to otherwise be fired. And if you also listened, all of the problems and all of the allegations and all of the concerns did not manifest themselves in that conversation. None of that happened. And then all of a sudden, there's this real paper trail sort of thing. And when I say paper trail, I haven't seen any paper, so I don't know that there is a paper trail or any complaints or any of that stuff, right? I have no idea of any of that. But what I do know is what I heard. And then here's what here's where the kicker comes in. Um, TJ's mentor is Dave. Do you know who the mediator was in between those two? It was Dave, which means that the same Dave that was helping TJ navigate this basic theft of a business, in my opinion, was the guy. Mohawk Gang, man, let's do it. Um, this navigating through this whole process was the guy who was trying to get into Ben's head as well, was the guy who was helping TJ the whole time navigate basically stealing the company, I want to say. Again, I don't have any, I don't have, all I have is my opinion. And what I'm giving you is my opinion of all this. Does Carlos have a GED certificate? I don't know because it's not required for anything. So I don't know whether he does or not. I would assume that he does. And I would assume that he's actually probably a pretty smart guy. We're gonna make we're gonna make ham of some guys. There's gonna be there's going to be some moments where I'm going to joke, we're going to have fun, we're going to do all of this stuff. And yes, Dave is the Christian values guy, but that's the thing. I don't know and can't say for sure that any uh, I don't know Carlos's intellect. Like I just go along with the memes basically. So Carlos could be a smart guy. I don't know that he is or is not. TJ, I the best I could say is he's well spoken. I don't. What he says doesn't seem to be uh, like I wouldn't call him a genius from the way he's communicating to people. But I do think that, by the way, I will say that he's an effective communicator. So there's that. So I would think that would take some kind of education. So I would think that they're all pretty smart people. I think everybody's kind of a smart enough guy here, and it takes a lot to steal a company from somebody right out from under them. So um, uh, yeah, I mean, I do think that well, and yes, Jessica, you can't understand a word Carlos says. That is true, but that's not a testament of education. That's just a testament of the way he talks. And let me just, I live in Chicago, so I hear people say shit like "woo wop the bam." I don't even know what that means to this day. Um, and people say things like "that's that what's the name." I have no idea what that means either. I think it means I don't know what that is. But instead of saying that, they say that's that what's a name. it's look, it's slang for everything, and he speaks with a lot of slang. I think is just basically what it is, and so again, that's not a question of intelligence. That's just he speaks a certain way. He was raised a certain way. Maybe his family speaks that way. Maybe all his friends speak that way. That's So I just just because I'm not in on the lingo doesn't mean I don't understand. Like, look, there are some of you guys in the South. I have no idea what you're talking about, and you look just like me. You're just not speaking like me. So, and Jamawamo says there may be a legitimate argument Ben may have, but clearly he is not acting rationally to achieve his objectives. I assume you're trying to add some calming stability to his emotional turmoil. That would be correct, but you have to understand, and I think that everybody should understand. Yeah, I think everybody should understand that Ben is his own man. Ben will do what Ben is going to do. Sometimes after the fact, I'm going to say, well, that didn't go well. I'm sure, and look, there's plenty of people out here talking to him all of the time. And you have to consider at least, that's awesome. I moved out of South Florida. I've been on vacation in Houston a few times, been to Texas a few times, but I lived in South Florida. I lived in Boca Raton. I lived in Coconut Creek, and I lived in Lake Worth for about 5 years. So love that area. Love that area. But anyway, there's not much that you can do um, when somebody has decided what they're going to do. Jessica, I lived about 4 blocks away from Club Boca. I don't know if you remember where that is, but I don't know if it's still around. But I lived about 4 blocks away from Club Boca. I want to say it was either, I don't know if it was Palmetto or Power Line. Maybe it was on Power Line. But about it's been a long time. But I lived 4 blocks away from that place. But here's the thing. This is you know it is very difficult to corral in somebody like Ben because Ben wants what he wants. He believes what he believes, and he works with a passion. And guys, I want to point out that is the reason that you guys pay attention to him. That is the reason that he moves that needle. It's the reason that 6 or 7 thousand people will tune in to one of his shows where nobody will do that. Um, that's there's a difference. He's just a different level. You know what I mean? So I feel like we should at least recognize that, and that is part of the problem, but that's also part of the reason that he's successful. So yeah, I just remember you're not gonna corral Ben Armstrong. You're not gonna control Ben Armstrong. The best that you can do is hope that he is surrounded by people that actually have his back. And I'm gonna say this about TJ. I think at one point TJ probably had his back in the early days. TJ has his own path, and sometimes those Miles, you do not live in all these places where you keep getting shot. But I think that TJ probably had his back in the early days because they had this synergy and they were working together for this cause. I think that DZ came aboard, probably had his back from the beginning. Tim had his back from the beginning. All these people probably had his back for a short period of time, but they don't anymore. Something changed along the way. For Tim, I think that Tim does a lot of, I'm going to pray on this, I'm going to pray on that. So I think that it's very important to think that Tim probably believes in a set of principles that are very, very conservative. So, I mean, you have to make that decision for yourself, But I mean, really, just consider some of these things. And 88 Metal Mania asked a very good question, with all due respect, with decisions like he makes. Why would you trust an investment in his leadership? Seems counterproductive, in my opinion. And I think you've asked a brilliant question, and I'm going to give you a brilliant answer. 1.5 million YouTube subscribers, 1 million Twitter followers. 5 to 7,000 people on every single live stream. I won't say that I think that he in the day-to-day operations is doing this fantastic bang up job. I believe that he has an idea. I believe he has a vision. I believe he has this entire thought process of what the Be Everywhere Now initiative and Bencoin could represent or would represent. However, he's not going to do that every day. He's going to try to make deals. He's going to try to make all kinds of stuff. He's going to try. Now you're going to sidetrack me, but listen, the end of this is, and I'm going to remember this because Ben, um, the reason that you follow Ben is because he will move the needle and he will get himself all of the people under him doing the right things to move that token because it is a testament of himself at this point because he's made it that way. So I do think that along with taking care of his, and by the way, they're going to be doing sponsorship deals next week. So they're going to be leaning into the channel. They're going to be making things happen. I think the end of the month is 3 days away. So that means he'll be monetized. Once he's monetized, then, he's good to go. And that there's some sponsorship deals will pop up and people look at me, well, we're kind of concerned about this. Well, you know what? Rein it in. Rein it in. And yes, Club Boca. I used to go to Club Boca all the time. One time I went to Club Boca, and I was now. By the way, full disclosure, I've never been a big drinker. I've never been like a big pothead. I've never been a big. I've done everything. Well, I've done those. I am kind of a nerd when it comes to that. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything right now. Caffeine. Energy, lemonade, energy strips. That's my thing. But back then, I went out to Club Boca one night and got drunk, and a guy came up, put his arm around me, and started talking to me, and bought me a drink. And I was like, "Oh, is this guy going to hit? Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna get like, oh man, like I was not trying to get picked up by a gay dude tonight." Turns out it was Joe Charbonneau, who was the Rookie of the Year in 1980 for the Cleveland, or maybe 1979 for the Cleveland Indians. And he was there with Vida Blue. And if you are a fan of my kind of music, punk rock music, you know that All did a song called Vida Blue. So I was like, oh my God, it's really Vida Blue. So I spent the night partying with Joe Charbonneau, the 1979 Rookie of the Year for the Cleveland Indians, and Hall of Famer Vida Blue. Bought all the drinks at 2:00 when Club Boca closed. Because, by the way, Club Boca closed at 2:00 because they were assholes in Palm Beach County. But then you had to go to Broward County. So we went down to some clubs in Fort Lauderdale, which were open until 5:00. And then at 5:00, we came back up to Palm Beach County because Club Boca opened back up at 6:00. So ta-da. But yeah, that was good times. Metal Mania, just asking, as you mentioned, he needs a good team around him. And yes, it is important to point that out. You do need a good team. Andy, thank you for the $30 bomb. Loving the Muskrat community. Chart looks organic. It really is. We're trying to build. For those of you that don't know, I am the person that launched Elon Muskrat. It is a token. It's a token on the blockchain. It's ERC20. If you want to go check it out, it's $Musk. And I build it as I build it, and I think that I've got a pretty good team going on that one. So we're going to be talking about that a lot more going into the future. I do think there's a great opportunity, And do you think Cassie is a good CEO team member? I do. I think they've got obviously there's some issues there that they have to address and that they're going to have to deal with at some point. And ignoring them or leaning into them for the moment is probably not what people want to see. It's probably not what they want to see. But here's the thing. The deal, and I can tell you this because I think it's common knowledge at this point. The deal that was negotiated for Stake was $250,000 a month. She got them up to $1 million a month. So I think that shows the potential that she's very adept at what she does. Now, again, a lot of this stuff has started to come to pass lately where things have been kind of blown in, and I'm not saying they're out of proportion, but they've kind of been blown up because of what is going on. So I again, here's the thing: if you don't like it, don't invest. It's okay. You can watch Bitboy and you can watch him for crypto content entertainment, and you don't have to be invested in Bencoin. Doesn't matter. You can not like who his CEO is for his token, and you can still watch his show. So whatever you want to do is fine. But if he believes and he trusts in that process, then if I'm gonna have his back, then I have to trust the fact that he understands everything in the ins and outs of that. And if he doesn't, then he's learning along the way. But I do think that he's leaned into it, and he said openly, "Look, she's going to be there. So if she's going to be there, then we make the very best of her abilities, which I think she does have the abilities. So I'm going to have to go with that because until somebody proves that she's not adept at it, regardless of, look, there's a lot of people that want to be part of this personal relationship. And look, that shit's none of my business. It doesn't matter whether I like it, don't like it, or am indifferent about it because it's none of my business. The fact that it's out there has affected the Bitcoin. Oh my God, has affected the Bencoin price. It has affected the price, and it's had a dramatic negative effect. But here's the thing: it was going to have a dramatic negative effect anyway. And I'm not saying that because of what's happening right now to justify. What I'm saying that for is because there were a lot of people that were still part of Hit Network that are holding on to tokens in order to dump them on the chart like they did that 57 ETH when they first broke away. All of those little pieces, put them all back together. There are more holders that are part of the Hit Network, so they can dunk at any time on it. But here's the other part: at some point, it's going to reverse, and there's going to be a big move out of it. So, and that right there, I think it's extremely inappropriate for Ben to be alone with Cassie. That is your religious principles, and that is your idea. That's your ideology, and that's okay. You are free to have that. I can have mine. I have to make a decision on whether or not that's okay for me, or it's not okay for me, or if it's something that I'm just willing to ignore for the betterment of cryptocurrency. I am willing to not tell you what I think about it because that is for the betterment of cryptocurrency and mass adoption, which is what this is all about. So, um, they got to figure out what they're going to do. What I'm worried about now, cryptocurrency prices. What I'm worried about right now is what is going on here, right? Um, that's where I'm at. That's where I have to be because that's the path forward. So what we're dealing with is basically, how does Bencoin move forward after the V2? What is what is the path forward for the Ben Armstrong crypto show going forward? I don't know, by the way, that I'm a part of it. I know a lot of people like me. I think that you guys appreciate me. I think you guys enjoy my content, but I don't know if that's something that look. I've had conversation with Ben. He and I like each other, but there may be divergent paths. He may be looking in different ways. Like he might be looking at just him and AJ, for all I know. Now, look, I'm gonna tell you a secret. I actually sent Ben one of the memes that people did about him today, and he found it to be very funny. So I'm going to say that he is very self-aware of the craziness of the situation. Okay, so Ben, don't hate me for that, but I did send him. Um, I did send him one of those wild memes that's out there on X right now about him. So he has a sense of humor about it all. He understands, and here's the thing: you have to have a sense of humor for it because you have to understand that you can't just sit here and wallow in self-pity and loathing and stuff like that. It's not healthy and it's not constructive to anybody. Now, it is my opinion that at some point very soon, Ben is going to owe a big let's effing go to the Bencoin community. But he can't do anything until V2 is launched. I hope you guys understand that, and I hope you appreciate that. He can't do much until that shows up, right? When the V2 is here, then he can lean into that, and that can be part of his path forward. Just like the new channel, he's got to set up a system by which all of this stuff fits, right? but you can't do anything until there's a V2 because nobody owes you price action. The best he can do is the best that he can do to promote the project and to create use cases, utilities, reasons for it to exist, and effort, mass adoption for everybody. Like that's the best that he can do in this situation, but he can't do it until that V2 gets here. So we have to kind of deal, and he understands the mistakes. He understands that. And by the way, he understands what just happened and what he did, by the way. Okay. He understands how that affects people. Okay. So, just understand that he is not blind. He is not oblivious to any of this. He understands exactly what he's done to that community. He knows that he's going to have to pull it back out and he's going to have to figure out a path forward. Muskrat community is sponsoring your next few beers while dealing with the drama. I don't drink beer. I can't stress this enough. Maybe if I'm in Australia, then maybe I'll be drinking beer or something like that. And by the way, I'm not I'm not like I'm not a teetotaler, and I'm not somebody who because I was an alcoholic or anything like that. I'm not an alcoholic. Like I think TJ said that he was an alcoholic. And I wish him well, and I hope that he stays on the clean and narrow path. I just don't drink because I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't smoke weed because it makes me sleep. I don't. I'm just boring. You know what I mean? I get up early in the morning. I start making crypto content. I work a full-time job. Then I get done. I continue to make content. I do work out every day. So I do that. But, those are my things. And again, plenty of caffeine all the time. So, we'll see what goes on in the future. And I appreciate each and every one of you from the Muskrat community for sponsoring me and supporting me because, crypto be crazy, dog. Bidmoon says that the CEO is great. And yes, he is. And in fact, he and I were talking just a little while ago. And look, it's important for you. It's important for you guys to understand this, right? I can't make any promises of profit or anything like that. I am working. I am working diligently in the background to make things happen, but I don't want to give you guys a promise because one of the things that, and this is for everybody who is in Musk right now, I can assure you, rest assured that I will bring you things that will gain value in the minds of people. I don't know about the value of people. Again, I can't speak to value. What I can do is say this: I'm working on, and I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but everybody wants to have a blockchain, so why not Musk? So I'm gonna work on that. A Dex, I'm not sure about. I don't want to just do all the things that people have done before. I don't want to throw you like 15 different utilities and use cases. And if you guys remember, here's the thing that bothers me. I want to give you full disclosure. The thing that bothers me the most is seeing 21 different utilities and use cases in Shinja. 19 of them were losing money. And after people figured out that Cliff was just milking everybody, then they, then all of a sudden, 19 of the 21 were shut down before the whole project was shut down. It'll be relaunched, by the way, under a different name. I don't know what the name is yet at this point, or I do, but I can't tell you what the name is. But you're going to be seeing more about the Shinja team at some point in the future. But the point to it is, I don't want to just pull out a bunch of different utilities, not in the bear market anyway, because it's not going to provide you any value. If I brought out tomorrow and said, haha, surprise, I have a blockchain, and we put a blockchain out here, it may or may not cause a pump or an effect. I don't know that's long term. What I want is to provide long term value, and I want you guys to have something that when this bull market does hit, then you will see something positive happen. You will see blockchain that shows up, and people that want to be on that blockchain, not because it's me, but because it's a good project. So you're going to see things that start to happen going forward. It's just I'm not going to do too much until we get to the point where there's value, and I want to create value for a project. And I don't want to. I'm trying to be careful how I speak here because again, there's no expectation of profit, and I can't give you an expectation of profit. I'm not having that conversation with Gary Gensler. You know what I mean? like Goldman Gary, you know what I mean? Like I would punch through your chest and pull your backbone out through the front of your body and use it as a toothpick. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not going to talk to that guy. You know what I mean? Now, a couple of things that I want to answer here before we go. Maybe believes it would be a good idea for you to take a custodial role over Ben Token. Allow Ben to take care of the other unrelated issues of running. So we're already doing that. All of this stuff. You guys have to understand. Just because nobody's talking about it doesn't mean that there is not a lot going on. I am in a chat right now. First of all, I'm going to tell you that the utility that's coming out is, and look, this utility is not coming to Musk, and it annoys me every moment of every day because it is on another level. Austin outdid himself incredibly by spearheading this. And by the way, I do want to point out that Austin is leaving at the launch of V2, but that doesn't mean that he won't be back. This was just he's going to focus on his family right now because that is the number one priority, and it should always be for everybody. Family above everything else. And when I say that, I also mean for your investments. So I don't want anybody to ever get twisted in sentiment here. If you want to hold a project like a SHIB that you think is going to do 1,000x, by all means, hold it. I would ask that you do the best you can as an investor to find the bottom and not get emotionally invested into the FOMO. Buy at the bottom, which, by the way, Ben Token, kind of at the bottom right now. I think it's a 6 million market cap. We're gonna, I'll take a quick look over here because I wanted to show you before we got off the air that I did go long. Here is our long right now. I ended up going long 40x on ETH today, and we're up 23% right now. So that's having a nice little bounce. I did set a take profit at like 1633. We're not using a lot. We're only using 221 bucks. But I did get wrecked on the Ben long the other day. I did try to buy that bottom and I lost like 170 bucks on that one. So I'm being very deliberate and very careful. I won today on I did a Ben short as soon as I saw that thing was coming out. And then I went long or I went short on Optimism and I cashed that one out. I didn't cash that out all the way at the bottom. It did dip a little bit more after this, but I wanted to make sure that I locked in profit because that was the important part. So that's what I went for because I thought it was more important to take the money so that I had the money for later than to just let it ride because I think that everybody should protect their capital at this point. So that's what I did. Now, as far as Ben goes, Ben is pumping back to 1623, which we got to deal with this drop off right here. However, let me point that. I'm just going to kind of zoom out here, and I want you guys to see. We were talking on the last time I was on Ben's show. We were talking about this coming down in this descending channel, and it's going to do whatever it does, right? But here it is. Like we're not outside of the descending channel that I told you guys we were going to be in. So we're not outside. Like even though it feels bad, and even though you don't want to see it come down to this level, we're not down outside of the spot where I told you that it was probably going to go anyway. We just had a precipitous drop into that range. So we're not really completely out of where I thought it was going to be. So I want you to take that, and don't. I'm not making excuses. You guys have been watching me for a period of time. You know this chart. You've seen me do this chart. You know what the position is. So that's what Ben will have a breakout moment. It'll have a nice little run, and I can say that because I'm not on the team. It will have a nice little breakout. It will have a nice little performance. I do now think that 47 is out of the mix. I think we have to rethink that. I'm going to leave that up there because I told you guys that I thought that was going to be the spot that gets hit. But now if we have a break, then the break is going to be a little more muted. And I think that now 3388 becomes 3400 becomes the next mini top for what we're doing and where we are right now. So I think when the FOMO builds up with the V2 notification and announcement, then I think that's when we'll start to see that sort of happen right there. So I do think that that's the next step or the maximum level that we can get to because this kind of drop right here, if you take get a trend line here and just say the drop from here down to here is about that long, right? And that's the difference between, that's almost the difference between those levels. So I would think that it's safe to say that if we were going to do 47, we're probably going to do 34 now. So, yeah. Also, I think it's important to point out WAGMI fell off a cliff today while they were doing like I mean, and look, I can't stress this enough. This was not the move I don't think that they were looking for as a team. I think they were looking for a reversal in price action for what they had being on the front page of OpenSea, et cetera, et cetera. But somebody sold like I want to say 26 ETH or something at one sell, which led to another big move to the downside. Which, hey man, I mean, people are taking their profits, and remember, some of us have been in there for a very long time, so yeah, you know, it just people took their profit and moved on. So Bitcoin, surprise, surprise, guys, you can't pick this any better, right? Like I don't feel like I'm not. There's risk involved in everything, but I feel like I'm giving you a tool right here at this predictive range. By the way, Lux Algo, I'm going to have more tools on here very soon for you guys that are going to be Lux Algo based. Market Cipher, Market Cipher also wants to do it, but Lux came first, so we're gonna do Lux instead. But I mean, you know, guys, it's very simple here. We got to the point of control. We came back down here. We got into this range right here. If you went long, then you came up here and you took your profit. Then you went short and you came down here and you took your profit again. And then you went long again. And then if you didn't sell, then you made it all the way up here and you made a tremendous gain. And then you shorted it all the way back down and you came back down. Like these points of control. And then you longed it to the point of control right here. Like this is an incredible opportunity for you if you just pay attention to the signals, to the signs, and you just follow along and you do what the chart says. Now, if you did what the chart said over here and you went long, right, it dumped and you got stopped out and you lost, right? But that doesn't mean that you didn't come back down here and start again because you created a new paradigm here because your point of control moved down, right? Every once in a while, when you get to the end, you're going to get stopped out. That's just the nature of it. That's why you never go heavy. That's why you're always doing a little bit here. Like if you do 200 bucks, if you do, whoops, like if you do 200 bucks right here and you come down and you make 200 or 300 bucks and you go back 200 bucks the other way and you make 50 bucks and you come back down and you make 50 bucks and you come up here and you make 200 bucks and you come back down here and you make another 200 bucks, then you come up here and you make 50 bucks, and then you might get wrecked and you lose 200 bucks, but you've already made 200, 400, 500, 550, maybe 750. So you've already made money off of it. So, you know, the whole idea here is just play the chart the way the chart is playing out, and you know, have a little faith in the process, and you know, you should make out pretty well. You will get stopped out every once in a while. You will get dunked on because that's just the nature of this beast. But if you play it the way that it's supposed to be played, then ta-da. Who, Larry the disabled guy? I am not worried about him. I'm not worried about any of that. Look, like I said before, he's probably a very smart guy. You know, the communication didn't do him any service, right? Didn't do him any service whatsoever. But I am sure that he is a very sharp, very smart guy. I'm sure everybody at Hit Networks is pretty much a smart, sharp kind of guy. They want their business. They have an opinion, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like there's a disagreement that's untenable that's going to have to be worked out. So, I mean, that's really all it comes down to. And I believe that, you know, if you're getting a lot of people dunking on the price, it may or may not be people from the Hit Networks. I do think it's probably still people from the Hit Networks who are selling large amounts. But I can't confirm that because I really don't know their wallets because I don't care, right? Copper and Crypto says street smart. I don't think maybe he's street. I don't know. I don't know if he's street smart or not. I just don't think that. I don't think he's a dummy. I think he's a smart guy. Dude, if that house was his that he was walking around, you know, I'm pretty sure. I'm I'm pretty sure that he's a pretty sharp guy. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that there's any reason to think he's an idiot in any way. So, I mean, he's just not really a friend to Ben like he said he was. Otherwise, he would have never leaked any of the details, information, or anything like that. He chose his side. He's just on the opposite team. That's all it is. He's just on the opposite team. And Jared, yes, I am picking and choosing because I am not making any guarantee or any kind of thing that says that I'm going to make a profit. So you know what? No. Do you think Ben was in front of Carlos' house? Nope. I don't know if he was or not. I assume that he was. It doesn't matter to me. Like Ben misstepped there. He's passionate about what he thinks is his, and he thought that he was stolen. He thought that he was strong armed. He thought a whole bunch of different things, and so I'm gonna assume that that probably was. I'm gonna assume that probably was. So there you go. So TJ's not scared. uh, but here's the thing, guys. It's just a different team. That team sucks. That team is Georgia Tech, and Ben is the Georgia Bulldogs. That team is the Louisville Cardinals, and Ben is the Kentucky Wildcats. That team is the Indiana Hoosiers, and Ben is Notre Dame. He's the one that draws the eyes. He's the one that brings people in. He is the Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man. He's not Pepper Potts. So well, Temple. Whatever team. It's what I'm saying is there's rivalry, and this is just a rivalry. It's a rivalry against two different teams, against two different sides. That's really all it comes down to. They are South Carolina, and Ben is Clemson, but not the Clemson of this year. Woo! Oh, doggy. Well, Ben got to hold his emotions together, or it will never work. Well, that's okay because and no, he doesn't. As a matter of fact, I even if I agree, I'm not going to say that because I don't tell Ben what to do. Yes, his mental health is probably in question because look, the people that he considered. Here's what you have to consider. Okay, if nothing else, consider that he considered TJ at one point his probable best friend. Justin Williams, the same thing. Carlos, probably the same thing. Because he was talking to Carlos and he was giving Carlos details that you only give to a friend or somebody that you trust. And we found out that from Ben's perspective, Carlos was not trustworthy with that information. Okay, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with Carlos. Carlos just picked a team and he just played one side versus the other. Same thing, Justin Williams. He thought that was a friend, and then he decided he can't stand him, and he wants him out of the building, or he wants him in the, like put him in the basement, or whatever, whatever the case is, right? It's just a team that he doesn't like. So that's all you can say, man. You know what I mean? Like that's it. They're just. Is that Carlos in here now? Oh, I take back anything good I said about him. God damn it. Never mind. Hey, I didn't mean none of that. Ellie's in the house. What is going on? Yeah, that's exactly right. Everything got turned around. And give the guy a break. Oh, that's not the real. Okay, that's fair enough. But the point is, they're not. Ben went through a trauma. We saw Ben Armstrong at his worst, but here's the thing: we've seen him at his best, and when he's at his best, there are tons of people that tune into him. He moves the needle. He is the crypto warrior, which was the title of this. So going forward, like I said before, there might be a deal. There might be something that he and I do together long term. There may not. There might be something that AJ and I do together. There might not. There might be some partnerships. There might be me showing up talking about Bencoin on the channel. There might not be. I don't know what the future holds. I hope so because I feel like we've been kind of fighting together through this whole thing. So I hope that that's the case. But it's okay. It's okay. Cryptocurrency Theory says Ben is an idiot, and so are you. Okay, and you're free to have that opinion because you've been wrong before. Um, Look at your profile pic. Jesus Christ, were you 9? All right. Anyway, so it's okay. It's absolutely okay. And yeah, I mean, look, he's talked to me, and we've had very good conversations. Uh, we've all had very good conversations about what the future holds for Bencoin, what the Ben Armstrong show. We've had good conversations about all of it. It's just finding all the pieces to fit together in a path forward, and if it works out, then maybe, just maybe, we have something parabolic and crazy on hand for the bull run. And if not, then I mean, we'll still be out here. Here's the one thing that I can tell you: I'm not gonna stab him in the back. I'm not gonna. I mean, there'll be times when I won't agree with him, I'm sure, but I'm never gonna stab him in the back because it's just not. It's just some shady, seedy stuff that I just don't like doing. And if you follow me for the last couple of years, you will know that I've been friends with the Sandstorm, with Jeremy, with Rodney, who I'm still friends with. I don't follow Awesome Austin anymore, not because I don't like Awesome Austin, but because, and by the way, I can tell you that Awesome Austin and I once had a conversation. It was for hours as I was in Chicago doing something. Like, we were just chatting on the phone, having a great old time, but we're not the best of friends. And when he decided he was going to do something different, he unfollowed me, so I unfollowed him. No big deal. Maybe we'll come back together at some point. Maybe we won't. But I don't have anything bad to say about Awesome Austin. And I can go down the list. Crypto Queen Tammy. All these different people. Jazz, if you remember him from Volt days. The Captain, Adam Shelton. All these different people. I don't have anything bad to say about people. I mean, I do have a bad thing to say about a few people, and I have said them when they needed to be said. Like, for example, Brad at the Sandstorm was shilling a product that the FBI just arrested the boss of. So, I don't like that. And I didn't like the way that he dealt with Sway, which, by the way, Sway scammed me later on. So, shout out to the Sandstorm. He was right about that piece of shit all along. So, I still don't like Brad, though, because he did try to get me into a token that, like, even I said, that's Jesus Christ. Like, I would not do that to people. I can't, in good conscience, do that to people. And by the way, the token that Brad tried to get me on was one where retirees from the firefighters and the police. It was a token for that. So if you retire, you invest in this token, and then if you want to cash out, then you're just cashing out. And, like, how do you make money? The way you make money is because some of those people won't cash out and they'll just die, and their money will be stuck in that system, and then the other people will pull out. And I was like, oh my God, no, absolutely not. I'm not involved in that. So, that's but generally speaking, I don't have a problem. Every once in a while, listen, every once in a while, I will shoot you out a token and it won't make it, right? I will shoot you out a token and they will do something bad. It's very possible that that will happen. There's always a risk associated, and I can't get them all right. I will always check and do the best that I can, and I will always try to tell you when I'm doing a promo that this is what I think, and you have to make your own decision. You have to do your own research. I'm presenting it to you. I don't like to do hype on it. I'll do a hype. I'll tell you what the chart looks like. I'll tell you what the possibility looks like. But I'm not going to tell you that this is something that you got to have. That if you're crazy if you don't invest in it. The only thing that I will say that to is Bitcoin. It would be insane if you didn't have any Bitcoin in your life. Like, that is absolutely crazy, because Bitcoin will be $1 million at some point. But Bitcoin will have that moment in the sun where its value is just so far above everything else that you won't believe it. Bitcoin is cryptocurrency in the short term and in the long run. So that is the future of store value on the blockchain, on the internet, in cyberspace. That is the future. So I will tell you, you should probably have a lot of Bitcoin. But other than that, you got to figure that shit out for yourself. Dan T says Cardano. I like Cardano, but Cardano just like Ethereum. And look, I do not like. I'll tell you one person that I do not like. because of the wild ass shit that they say is Leia Halpern. I want to say that that's her name. I don't know if it's Layla or Leia. I don't interact with her. I stay away from. I'm pretty sure I have her blocked on Twitter. But I saw a video on YouTube today where she said that she does transactional trading on everything, but she holds Bitcoin. Any profits that she makes on anything, she just moves over into Bitcoin. Now, does she do that? No, of course not. She takes profit when there's profit, et cetera, et cetera. She's not just putting everything into Bitcoin, but she's moving her money into Bitcoin. She's moving her money into these into just Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the store of value. Bitcoin is the one that will lead us there. So, and look, SHIB will have a good run. Different tokens will have a good run. Cardano will have a good run. Cardano might get adopted by different businesses, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it might have more value. Ethereum, same thing. Layer 2s on Ethereum, same thing. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is the one. So, I don't like her, but she's right. And Miss Teen Crypto, same thing. She's wild. She is a wild Bitcoin maxi. And she will talk your ear off about Bitcoin. And I admire that. That's awesome. That she's, I want to say like 20, maybe 21. And like, she is living her dream and absolute Bitcoin to the max. So, the rest of it is transactional. So that's, I guess that wraps it up, guys. I know I went a little bit long here, but you know what? It's my goddamn show. I get to do that. So if you haven't already, Elon Muskrat, certainly go check it out. I had a great time making it, and I made it courtesy of 100x Gems. If you haven't looked at 100x Gems, you might want to go check them out. They've got a smart contract builder. I am no longer I'm no longer sponsored by them. I'm not partnered with them in any way, but it is still a good project that will probably look $500 to create a smart contract right now if you wanted to launch your own token. So very, very, very cool. Gate.io for futures trading. Fairdesk, I do copy trading over there, so you can do that. NordVPN, maybe like 6 or 7 signups through the end of the month. If I could get that, if you guys could just say, you know what, I'm going to hook Bleaves up and I'm going to sign up for NordVPN, use the link in the description down below, because that certainly helps me out tremendously. That would get me up to another level of bonus, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. They throw money at my wallet and I'm like, okay, cool, I have money in my wallet. And then MEXC, which is where most of my futures trading is done right now. It's where I do futures trading at this point. And then RubyDex, you can fund that. It is a decentralized exchange, but it is just like a centralized exchange in that you can fund it. And then from funding it, you can start doing futures trading and you can start doing limit orders. RubyDex is awesome. And we're going to have a video coming out on that very, very soon. So this is not financial advice. My name's Bleaves. Grab somebody tight because I'm about to scare you with the scariest outro in all of crypto. And if you would be so kind, it's going to take about 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, if you would, leave a comment on the video. And one of the things that I forget to do that I got to go back and do is remember to tell you guys to leave comments constantly, thinking about people who might watch in the future, because I'm an idiot and I forget stuff like that. So anyway, prepare to get scared. Don't cry, because if you cry, you're a baby. This is not financial advice. My name's Bleaves. I'm always right, and we will see you for breakfast.
It's been a long day, a long week, maybe a long year. So let's get something clear. We're gonna stock up on some party favors later on. Tell everybody that